Welcome to episode 104 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In today's tiny little mini episode, short because I'm at a conference and there's a lot to get done, we're going to talk about how to approach conferences, whether it's for work, for pleasure, personal development. Kyra and I have been to a lot of different conferences, 10X conference, wealth conferences, real estate, personal development, self-help, motivational seminars, all sorts, all different sorts. And I think that there's a certain mindset that you need to take with you to go into those conferences. Sometimes a little bit of like a mental prep before you go into the conference. And it's probably different for everybody. So I'm going to talk about an anxiety technique that I used yesterday that was extremely, extremely beneficial. I was very surprised by it. But before we jump into that, Kyra, what are your thoughts when it comes to preparing for a conference?
When I prepare for a conference, believe it or not, I prepare as soon as I buy the ticket. So I'm thinking about like what my intention will be. I'm thinking about who I want as a client. I'm thinking about what energies I want to fall into. I'm thinking about I'm actually already giving myself congratulations for everything that I have accomplished at the conference that hasn't even happened yet. So I'm really strategic about it. I imagine myself at the conference with my mind set. I'm set. I have energy, no energy leaks and things like that. So I'm really just preparing very early, and those are the things that I do.
That's amazing, because yesterday one of the thoughts was that went through my mind as I arrived to this, amazing hotel resort here. Is like, I was like, dang, I should have been preparing mentally more for this. Like, there's so many different things like I wanted to have planned out, and I felt like I arrived without preparation. So that's an amazing technique. It's like the day you get the ticket, the day you sign up, like start that planning to manifest what you want to manifest.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm curious to hear about your anxiety technique, because believe it or not, I'm somebody who has intense panic attacks still sometimes. They're not as bad at all in any way as they used to be. I healed myself from a lot of it, but when I go to conferences, sometimes I get panic attacks, and I feel them coming on, and I start disassociating, and my mind, like it can't stop, and I can't breathe. So I have to go out of the conference, and it happened to me at the sales workshop, and honestly, it was the better half of the day. For like 5 hours, I was trying to
Wow.
because it's so
Yeah.
reprogramming. So I would love to hear your anxiety technique.
Well, it's interesting you bring up breathing, because it actually has to do with breathing. And I went into this not expecting much. We're both in the self-help industries. We've heard 1,001 techniques about managing your breathing and this and that, right? So I didn't think anything would happen, but I'm on the airplane, right? It's taking off, and I notice, and nothing's going wrong, right? There's no turbulence or anything, but I notice like my heart starts to get a little faster, right? I'm just trying to be very body aware these days. So heart's getting a little faster. I'm noticing some cortisol, some stress hormones, like sort of like upon takeoff, right? A little bit of a stress response. And I said, okay, what can I do right now to really combat this? Well, I was listening to an audiobook at the time called The Spirit of Kaizen. And it talks about all different ways of continuously improving your life. And in one way to improve stress, they say, is the inhale for 4 seconds, pause for 6 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds. And we've all done this stuff at seminars or whatever, right? So, but I was like, whatever, I'm just going to try it. I have nothing else to do. So I closed my eyes and I visualized, this helped me. I visualized sort of how when you see like an audio track come across the screen and it goes like up and down or whatever, I kind of visualized a line going across my field of vision where it was one ramp up. That was the inhale. It was like inhale for 4 seconds going up the ramp. Then it was flat for 6 seconds, right? And then a ramp down, almost like had a skate park, like a skateboarding ramp, like go up for 4 seconds, flat across for 6, and then 4, and then down for 4. So I did this for maybe, I don't know how long, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But I think what happened was, because I was sitting on a plane, I had nothing else to do, because I don't like to multitask. I don't like to, do other stuff on the plane. I just like to sit there and think with my thoughts, right?
So
So I
funny.
did this for like longer than I normally do. I think that was the key. I did for like 20 minutes or something, right? But let me tell
Mm.
you, I was like in a total zen, calm state for a good 3 to 4 hours afterwards. It was seriously like when you eat a meal and you're not hungry for 4 hours. It was like that. Like I so calmed down my nervous system that, like, when I arrived to the hotel and I'm running into people in the hallway and stuff, like, I'm just like, oh hey,
Yeah, cool as a
hello friends, how are
cucumber.
you? Like, it, yeah, exactly. It was exactly the way that I would want to enter a social interaction. It's like so, like, grounded, so calm, no anxious energy, none of it. Oh hey, yeah, yeah, how are you guys? Like, none of that. Like, it was just like total, like, total non-inflation, total, like, just like calmness, composure, like, oh, it's so good.
I love that so much. And I do hear that a lot. The breaths where like you hold in and then you pause and you breathe out. And honestly, yeah, they don't work for me when I do them for like 5 minutes, but they do wind up working. And I do feel my nervous system kind of calming down after like 20, 30 minutes. So I think that it's probably something that you have to do maybe for like a longer period of time. What I liked is that you brought into it the waves to give yourself something visual to visualize as well. So
Mhm.
I think that that's definitely super helpful in preparing yourself for a conference where you're going to see a whole bunch of people. You're going to be networking, you're going to be connecting with other people, you're going to be mingling with other energies. You got to make sure that your energy is cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, and I'm glad you point out that the visual piece of it, because I think there is something to cycles. And I think I'm looking right now out the window at the Pacific Ocean here, and as people go to these vacations and it's like sit on the beach and they're like, oh, I just love hearing the ocean sounds, it just relaxes me. Have you ever thought why? It cycles just like breathing. The waves come in and they crash, and then they come back, and then they come in, they crash, and then the waves recede. And it's the perfect rhythm to regulate breathing, right?
Yeah, I love the ocean. So yeah, that's funny because the whooshing of the sounds, it's like in and out, and it's so nice. What about picking the right conference for you? We've got Tony Robbins, we've got that what's that guy Gary Vanderchuck, we've got Grant Cardone, we've got what's his name, T. Harv Eker, we've got Marie Forleo, we've got Esther Hicks. We've got so many different conferences to go to. So how do you decide which conference is the right for you? And you like, how do you decide?
I never really thought about that conference. It's usually you got to hear from a friend or something, like a testimonial, like, oh, you got to go see this conference or something. I don't know. I mean, how do you go about choosing your conferences?
Well, I guess I choose my conference or my retreat, whatever it is. I choose it by what I need at that moment. So like right now, I need a lot of help with business. I'm learning how to run my business. So I'm going to go to Grant. But maybe in like 2 years I'll have all the business stuff down. Maybe in a year I'll have all the business stuff down. And then I'll decide that maybe I want to go to one of Tony Robbins' conferences and like walk on fire. Maybe I want something a little more spiritual, a little more manifestation and energetic. So I decide to go to Esther Hicks, right? I want my mind cleared. So I'm going to go to Esther Hicks. So there are, I guess, like different times that I'll pick a different sort of conference.
Yeah, I think what's cool about that is you recognize that at different points in your life, you need different things.
Mm-hmm.
You need different, and I think it's about staying balanced almost, or just being very adaptable and sort of being constantly vigilant that like, hey, as practitioners of personal development, we are constantly evolving and we have to ask ourselves, what's the missing piece right now? Right? Forget about past, forget about, you know, too far into the future. It's like, what do I need right now to keep me on course and moving forward?
Yeah, and I think that that's good. I mean, to get a little bit off topic, but I think that that's good because, my mom has been telling me since I was a little girl, like, Kyra, just take it one day at a time. And if you can't take it one day at a time, take it moment by moment and take it one moment at a time. And that lesson keeps coming up into my existence because my mind is always thinking, I'm thinking about all the things that I have to do, but it's like sometimes to really just be like, I'm gonna fucking focus on this task. That's all I'm gonna fucking focus on, and then I'm gonna go on to the next. I think that maybe anxiety can also come up in a conference because all the stuff that you're learning, your mind may be thinking about going into the future, but this can actually pertain. Take it one piece of information at a time. Take it one moment at a time, just let yourself absorb everything in the conference and just let the conference happen. Stop thinking about after the conference what's going to happen, what you may not be able to do, or what can't do after the conference. Just, kind of take it moment by moment.
Right. I like that. Um, and as my last thought of the episode, I'm going to add to that receptivity, because what you just spoke about, I think, is staying present, keeping your mind focused, um, taking one thing at a time. Yeah. And I think if we add to that receptivity, especially for me, I have to be like open minded. Otherwise, my inner cynic, the jaded cynic, comes out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've been to enough of these. I know what they're going to say. Like, it's just not worth my time. Like, and of course, that's not me. That's the key, right? Is to recognize that that critical voice inside is not you. It's a character in your mind that was implanted and it invaded, just like coronavirus invades a body or the flu virus or whatever virus. It starts to try to reproduce itself and then tries to spread to other people. And you need to eradicate that stuff right at the beginning of detection before it multiplies and spreads. Anyways, that was just a little side note on negativity. But receptivity, like, hey, I could meet some amazing people today. I don't have to. I'm not attached to the outcome, but I'm receptive to it. And to add your piece to it, I'm going to be, because I'm not overly attached to it and worrying about whether it's going to happen or not, I can be fully present in each conversation, take it one chunk at a time, and just do it, not think too much about it, just do it.
I like that a lot as a final thought, especially because, yeah, you never know what's going to happen at a conference. Like, you could you could be worried about like not having anybody to go to a networking dinner with, right? So then you decide to take a walk down the street, and then all of a sudden you run into Grant Cardone or Esther Hicks, because they decided to take a walk down the street, right? So it's like, or, maybe instead of going out with people that night, you decide that you want to have a 3 hour long spa trip, right? So it's like, keep it open, keep it receptive to whatever will feel best for you that night. Like, you don't have to go out and network if you don't want to. If you want rest, get the rest. You're not missing out on anything. And I think that that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, for sure. Stay in motion rather than just sit there and wonder.
Ooh, that's a good one. The best way to trump the fear of action is to just take the action. So, it just, anytime that like you have an action, and don't sit there and wonder about the action, Just take it. Just start walking. Just start walking. You know, you'll never know what's going to happen. You're just walking. You're like, oh, I'll go this way now. And you're like, oh, I'll take a seat. You're like, oh, I'll go to the bathroom. You know, just do you.
That's right. Yeah, totally. I think when you're in a event like this, it's like you have to become the doer, you know, like allow yourself to be that doer that's within you somewhere and just is ready to act.
Wake them up.
Nice. Well, with that grunt, I think we've accomplished what we needed to today. So thank you all for watching and listening. We'll see you in next week's episode. Did you find at least one gold nugget in today's episode? Then please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And finally, if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/enterthemind.